Conservation Commission is now in session. Please note the meeting is being audio recorded. My name is Phoebe Evans-Latosha, Chair of the Commission, and I will be running tonight's meeting. We are your volunteer representatives appointed by our county councilperson or county executive and entrusted to monitor renovations and additions to our Baltimore County historic resources. The LPC reviews and approves nominations to the Baltimore County Preliminary Landmarks List, comments on National Register nominations, reviews all exterior alterations within county historic districts, and is charged with evaluating Baltimore County historic tax credit applications. Would the commissioners please introduce themselves by name and county council district or representation? We can go in the order listed on the PowerPoint screen.
Hi, I'm Lily Mundroff, District 1.
Chris?
Is Chris?
Chris Weston is here. Maybe having some audio.
Wendy McIver, Council District 3.
Hi, everybody. Ted McCadden, representing Council District 4.
Daniel Dean, District 5.
John Holman, District 6.
Jamie, if you could go next on the executive appointments. Or is she not here yet? Scott, then.
Scott Holupka, Planning Board Rep.
Ed Horde, Executive Appointment.
We have Vince. And then Tom.
I don't see Tom on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
Chris Parts, executive appointment.
Okay, and then I'm Phoebe Evans-Latosha, the chair, and also executive appointment. Okay. Now we can please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Landmarks Preservation Commission operates under the authority, standards, and requirements of Title VII, Article 32 of the Baltimore County Code. We refer to the United States Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation as administered by the National Park Service. This is the accepted national standard for historic preservation projects. Our own Baltimore County Historic Preservation Design Guidelines directly reference and incorporate the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation. We have important preservation issues to discuss and debate at each meeting. If you would like to make comments, please limit your comments to the specific application or proposal submission being reviewed. We ask for your assistance and understanding so that all the discussions do not digress. As an additional comment, we can all agree that historic preservation is an important aspect of the quality of life and place that makes Baltimore County unique. As commissioners, we serve on the commission due to our expertise, interest, and passion for historic buildings and places, and we review submissions based solely on their merit. While we may disagree in discussion and voting, we continue to be a collegial body that respects each other personally and professionally. Would staff please provide us with our virtual meeting reminders?
Just a reminder for our testimony, members of the public had an opportunity to submit written testimony or register to speak at the meeting in advance with staff. When it's your agenda item, staff will announce the name and unmute you. Those who are project representatives or property owners or applicants, they do not need to register for speak, and staff will allow them to address any questions or comments that the commission may have at the appropriate time. Also, just note that the commissioners do receive all the meeting materials 1 week prior to the meeting in order to prepare. The information that's presented in this presentation is just an overview and summary of the cases being presented as a visual to help keep the meeting moving in an orderly fashion.
Okay. Let's see, staff, could you inform the members of the commission if there are any changes to the preliminary agenda?
There are no changes.
Thank you. And I will now call for any proposed changes to the minutes from the February 13th LPC meeting. And if there are none, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, Phoebe, I'd just like to confirm that Mr. Holman offered one change to the drafted minutes to correct his name listed as chair instead of yours. I don't know if you caught that, but
Thank
that
you,
was-
John.
That was fixed and was.
I don't
was
know if there was
submitted
some
to the
subliminal
SharePoint.
message going on, but
I think that was
wanted
just a holdover.
I wanted to stop that nonsense.
Thank you. So is there a motion to approve the minutes with the correction to list me as the Phoebe Evans-Latosha's chair rather than John Holman?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
great. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. So now if the, so we have consent agenda items 4, 6, and 7, which staff will present.
Thanks,
After which
Phoebe.
we will have an opportunity to pull or, approve them in once.
Great, thank you. So first we have the Hadaway property at 4946 Tulip Avenue in Halethorpe. This is County Council District number 1. It is a contributing resource within the Relay County Historic District, and the applicants are seeking Part 2 approval for in-kind asphalt roof replacements to the main house and garage. Citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 3 Roofs, County Code Section 11-2-201 and 32-7-405. Next, we have the Hart property at 410 Fairmont Avenue in Towson, County Council District number 6. This is final landmarks number 235, the Parker House, which was relocated from its original location in 2015. And the applicants have proposed the construction of a rear 7 by 10.5 deck and to alter the existing rear window opening to convert to a door. Citing Baltimore County Historic Preservation Guidelines, Chapter 2, Windows and Doors, and Chapter 7, Fences and Landscapes, County Code Section 32-7-405. And lastly, we have the Wheaton property at 207 West Seminary Avenue in Lutherville, County Council District number 3. This is a contributing resource within the Lutherville County Historic District, and the applicants are seeking the ex post facto review of a 42-inch Gothic-style space picket wood fence installation in the front yard. And just to note that the fence is partially constructed, the posts are in. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you. And we did receive 3 additional letters related to the fence proposal in Lutherville. So is there anyone present who wishes to speak against the approval of the items, or any members of the commission wish to have a discussion of any of the items before we vote or pull any of the items off the consent agenda? Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
Move that we approve the consent agenda.
A second.
So we're not pulling the number 7 for discussion based on the letters received.
That if you would,
If someone
to-
wants to pull it and wants to move that we pull that, that could happen.
I move that we pull it off of the pull number 7 off of the consent agenda items.
so, let's see, Chris Parts and was it John who seconded? Would you
Yes.
want to remove your motion?
Oh,
Yes, that's fine.
I'm happy to accept it as an amended motion.
Mhm.
We approve 2 and pull 1.
So, Chris, would you want to amend your motion to that effect?
Sure. So I amend my motion. It was to remove item 7 off of the consent agenda. So it's item 4 and 6 remain.
Yes, that would be, sounds like that's the, and then John, are you seconding that still?
I am.
Okay, so the motion is to approve agenda item number 4, the Hadaway property, and agenda item 6, the Hart property, and to pull agenda item 7 to the main agenda, so off the consent agenda item. So is there no discussion, we will then move to a voice vote. So this is approving the 2 properties, the staff recommendations.
Are we doing a roll call or a voice?
Yeah, I'm sorry, roll call vote. It says voice vote, but I thought usually we did roll call votes for these.
Yeah, we can do the roll call.
Okay.
We have Chris Parts, please.
Yes.
Lily,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wendy. Wendy, are you muted?
No, I'm on the phone because I have no sound. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
So this is voting on the consent agenda items, the 2, we pulled the Lutherville one.
Okay,
so,
we pulled the other one. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Wendy. Can we have Chris Weston, please?
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
John, please.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see that we have Vince. Have Jamie.
Yes.
Scott, please.
Yes.
Ted
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Tom Liebel's here too, by the way, and I vote yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. So then moving now to the Wheaton property, agenda item number 7, the front yard fence in the Lutherville Historic District.
No, we start with number 5 and we'll get to
Oh, okay.
agenda item 7 at number 7
the-
when we get to, yeah.
Great.
Okay.
And that's, we go in the correct order of the numbers.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
that's
So,
all right.
so now we're on number 5. That just means I just have to remember to go back to number 7
Yeah.
after number 5. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Phoebe.
Thank you. Okay,
Uh,
number 5.
Yeah, so the Carnival property at 800 Francis Avenue in Halethorpe, County Council District Number 1. This is a non-contributing resource within the Relay County Historic District, and the applicants have again resubmitted their application for the construction of a 10 by 24 shed roof over the existing rear open deck. So as a reminder to the commission, the property at 800 Francis Avenue is a one-story rancher dwelling within the Relay County Historic District and is considered a non-contributing resource. The proposal was reviewed at the February 13th meeting of the LPC, and the work included the following: construction of a 10-foot by 24-foot asphalt shingled shed roof off of the rear elevation to be supported by 3 6-inch by 6-inch pressure-treated posts spaced 10 feet apart. The roof will extend 8 feet over the existing deck. The 3 to 12-inch roof slope will connect to the main house roof with a 2-inch by 12-inch ledger. 2-foot knee wall will support the roof and the end wall of the main house. And the work also includes the installation of new 5-inch K-style aluminum gutter system. At the February meeting, the commission voted not to approve the work as proposed and stated that accurate drawings showing the relationship between the proposed and existing roof lines with clear dimensions and materials be included in the resubmission. Additionally, the commission asked for an elevation drawing that shows the new roof's relationship with the existing house, and that the supports, rake, fascia, and be wrapped with a vinyl or aluminum finish to be more cohesive with the dwelling. The applicant has returned with updated drawings to identify the two inch gap between the proposed and existing cross gable roof lines and has labeled the plans to include aluminum finish on the rake and fascia and vinyl wrapping on the supports. An elevation drawing showing the relationship between the roof construction and existing rear elevation was also submitted. However, the drawings did not include dimensions. Staff asked the commission to discuss and review the updated plans and determine if the proposal meets our design guidelines and then to approve, modify, or deny accordingly. Citing Baltimore County Historic Design Guidelines, Chapter 6, New Construction, Additions, and Non-Contributing Resources, County Code, Section 32-7-405. And we do have the project representative, Mr. Scott Chatton, with us tonight. So, Mr. Chatton, I will unmute you momentarily.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chatton. You're unmuted.
Hello there.
Yes, we can hear you. If you do you have anything you would like to add to what the staff presented?
Just that the spacing between the roof and the valley is actually 2 feet, not 2 inches. That was the only correction I could think of.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
That's okay. I figured, no problem.
Okay. So if do any of the commissioners have any clarifying questions for the applicant?
Um, I had a question. This is Lily Mundroff. Was it specified which elevation you required? Because it looks like it's the side one, but did you ask for the one facing Rolling Road? Which is
No,
the front elevation?
It's the elevation where the work will take place. So this is showing the rear elevation with the porch, the shed.
It's a side elevation, right? This is a side? If it faces the house's address is, I'm sorry, maybe I'm confused. Is the front Francis or Rolling?
The front is Francis. This is the
Okay.
opposite side of Francis. This is the other side.
Okay. Okay.
Carville? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess just because South Rolling is a main street as well, so that would also be an important elevation, I guess, just as a note. But I guess the commissioners did not, before it wasn't specified which elevation they had to show.
Basically, when it was questioned, the issue was the distance between the valley and the solar panels and the new construction. So I didn't have definite drawings to show that. So now here we are at 2 feet from the valley, which answers the questions that were presented before. So,
Yeah, we did not have enough details at the last
Yeah.
meeting. I think there were some questions particularly related to water runoff and downspouts and things like that. And so the question now for the commissioners is whether these drawings are sufficient to answer any concerns, or are there any additional concerns about the downspouts and gutters and particularly the water runoff. And now that we can see that the drawing with the presentation of where the columns would hit, do we have any concerns?
Phoebe, the drawing, I think, addresses the issue that we had to keep that away from the solar panels and the drainage there. The only thing I would question is whether you really want a column in the middle of the door from that elevation. But I think where that starts or stops, or where that column resides, I don't think is, particularly, of a big importance. But if it were my house, I would not place the column there.
Yeah, I guess the question is it visible from the
No.
from the roadway? And so, do any other commissioners have any questions or concerns?
I have a couple of,
Yes,
I
Ed.
agree with Chris. I mean, to put the window when it's sort of in the middle or in obstructing the window, when it could be over on the edge or the edge of the window, and to put it in the middle of the door seems very awkward and not certainly very strange, I think. Could you go to the section drawing? I have another question. We have, there's a gutter. First of all, a question for I guess the contractor slash engineer.
Yes, sir.
Are you keeping the roofing underneath the, the, on the old roof underneath the shed roof? Are you taking
The,
the roofing off?
the plan was to go over it.
And so if water blows in, are you flashing over that little knee wall? The sill plate for the knee wall?
Right. We will actually enclose that end. That will be blanked off, so there won't be water getting in behind there.
Okay. So that would be seen from Rolling Road then, conceivably. What about the gutter? Is the gutter runs all the way through? Or are you adding new downspouts and terminating the gutter when it goes under the roof?
Plan was to terminate the gutter and run new downspouts.
So you would need to show downspouts. Yeah, I'm used to sort of seeing drawings of how all this stuff's going to work, but I suppose it's fine. All right.
I just want to define it. It's not, I mean, to me, it's not a rear roof addition because Rolling Road is primary, not the I mean, I understand that the house address is on Francis, but Rolling Road is a more prominent. So it's really a corner. So it's not on the rear yard. So if, I don't know whether or not you're requiring to have an elevation as well on the Rolling Road side. And also as a consideration that it's, by definition, it's a corner lot, right? It's not a front back scenario.
Okay.
I mean, there are the most minimal drawings you could possibly do. I mean, it's structural, everything, you've got the structure, but nothing beyond structure is really shown except some red lines on a sort of back elevation. So I find it still not enough information to really evaluate, but I suppose I'll wait and see what other people say, see if anyone agrees or thinks anything else should be done.
Other commissioners who wish to speak to this?
Phoebe, I'll just speak. I'm not sure that we're going to see anything more from a side elevation there than what we already know. I think the issue that was raised in the last meeting is, to my belief, has been addressed, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I move that we accept it. I will note, to Lily's point, this is an awkward, the way the house is set up, and yes, I agree that South Rolling Road is the heavier trafficked road. But on the other hand, we have to allow the homeowner to have a front and a back. We can't have two fronts. And so I feel comfortable making the allowance for and approving it.
Okay, so
Make a
do we have do we have a motion?
That's my motion, to approve it.
Okay, so your motion is to recommend approval of the proposed roof addition. Do we have a second?
And are we able to, John, I'm wondering if you might be willing to amend just to, to suggest that the owner consider placement of the columns, but aside from that,
Yeah,
um,
I'd be happy to have
okay.
that amendment. I just had this vision of people steaming out that back door straight into that pole ever since you mentioned it, Chris. As an insurance guy, I get worries of my own on that. But
So I would second that then as amended.
So a movement of the columns to the very corners is what you're recommending. That's not a problem.
Okay. So I guess we have a motion and a second, so we're ready for a roll call vote.
We have Chris Parts, please.
Yes.
Lily.
No.
Okay, thank you, Lily. Dan, please.
Yes.
Wendy.
Yes.
Thank you, Wendy. Chris Weston, please.
Yes.
Ed.
No.
Okay. John.
yes,
Thanks. Jamie, please.
Yes.
Great. Scott.
Yes.
Great. Ted.
Yes.
And Tom, please.
Yes.
And
All right, so
no,
that
no,
was.
no. So I need to vote as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Phoebe. I was counting. Madam President, may we have your vote?
Mine is no.
Okay. All right, so we have 8 affirmative and 3 dissenting votes.
So the motion passes. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're ready to move on to agenda item number 7. This is the Wheaton property in Lutherville.
Yeah. And before we get to this property, I just wanted to say, Mr. Gregorio, I did see your comment in the chat. You're in the right place. When we get to your agenda item, which will be next, then I'll unmute you. All right, so coming back to the Wheaton property at 207 West Seminary Avenue in Lutherville. The property is a 2.5-story frame dwelling constructed in the Queen Anne style in 1897. The neighboring property at 209 West Seminary Avenue is an identical construction. On February 27th, 2025, preservation staff was contacted by the property owner to initiate the historic review process. Originally, the owners were not aware of the county's historic district requirements, and the fence posts have already been installed. Due to safety concerns for their young children and dogs against the traffic on Seminary Avenue, the owners are requesting to complete the installation of a 42 inch 3-foot and 1/2 inch wood Gothic style space picket fence in the front yard of the home. The existing front yard has a row of hedges along the street, and the front yard hedging is a typical feature along Seminary Avenue streetscape. The fence will be placed behind the existing hedges and will not be highly visible from the road during the spring and summer months. Our guidelines state that enclosing a front yard with a fence or wall where none previously existed or is not common in the county historic district is not appropriate. While front yard fencing is not predominantly found in Lutherville, it does exist on a few properties in the district, as well as on some highly visible corner lots. Staff provided some photos of existing front yard fencing in Lutherville to the commission. Staff feels that the material and style of the proposed fencing is appropriate and meets our guidelines. Additionally, staff feels that the fencing being located behind the existing hedging will help minimize its visibility and maintain the existing streetscape along Seminary Avenue. And we did receive 3 letters in opposition of this project.
Okay, is the applicant present, and would they like to add anything to what staff presented?
The applicant is out of town. They are not with us tonight.
Okay, so we do not have the opportunity to ask them any questions. So I then would open it up to the commissioners. And well, I guess we can't ask the applicant any questions, but I would open up the commissioners, since we don't have any registered public speakers, I assume as well.
No registered speakers, but the individuals who submitted their letters, either individual constituents or representatives of a singular group, expressed their concerns in their submitted testimonies.
Yes, and I assume that the commissioners had an opportunity to read those. I see that Scott has his hand up. If you would like to start the commission discussion then.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I guess my question is, when I did a Google tour down Seminary, I noticed that there are lots of hedges of different heights, lengths, some more sporadically. In terms of these kinds of things, what is the difference between a hedge fence and a wooden fence?
I guess the hedge is more of a landscaping buffer. It doesn't provide any security. It's just there for a decorative feature. The commission does not regulate landscaping, so if somebody were to remove their hedge along there, it's nothing that that the LPC has a say in the matter versus fencing. But I guess the difference would be one's for like decorative, the other one's more for security purposes.
So one is within our purview and the other is not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess I just feel in terms of visibility, et cetera, the two serve pretty much the same function. So if you, and like I said, it looked like there were lots of homes along Seminary, and I can understand why someone would want to have some kind of something blocking such a busy road. So I personally agree with the staff's recommendation. I think it's fine to go ahead with it.
Though, as you were saying, Scott, you saw lots of hedges, but not lots of fences in the front.
Well, I mean, actually, like the block over, I mean, I saw several fences. I may not have been as historic homes, but
right.
But
this
if someone's
particular
got
part,
yeah, but if someone's got like a 6 foot tall, scraggly, I don't know. I don't quite understand why this is such an issue. I mean, they never had fences back then.
well, I don't know, but the style of that particular, village was to have hedgerows, not fences. So to be, authentic of the style of those houses, the hedgerow is much more appropriate.
The hedgerow doesn't exist on all streets in Lutherville. It's along
No,
Seminary
I know.
and some other. There are some streets that have sidewalks. There's a lot of different streetscapes through Lutherville. So, I mean, and the fencing is dispersed.
I tend to lean on the side of the staff as well, kind of with this one. My primary questions were, I have a 5-year-old. I live on a main road. I don't have a fence. I'd like a fence. The fence would go in the backyard. If I couldn't afford a front yard fence, it kind of reminds me of one of the properties we reviewed before of where is the limit between the actual safety and where is the limit between something that is extra that you don't necessarily need. The only factor I could kind of see on the argument against it is during the wintertime, the fence would be more visible compared to evergreen bushes that would be, planted there, and it would keep the visibility low for the other neighbors or the people that have the issues with it throughout the entire year, rather than if you look at some of the winter pictures with the fences and the bushes, you can see that you could see the fence behind it. But once again, my questioning was kind of they have a large backyard, and the letter itself, for the purpose of what they were trying to, the reasoning, the rationale behind having this front fence was they have 2 dogs and they have a child. Well, you have a backyard. I walk my dogs, kind of thing. So that's the only thing. However, I tend to lean on the staff side still with this.
This is kind of a slippery slope argument, but if we allow this fence, is every house that's bordering Seminary have a fence? And maybe it does. Maybe it was fine to have a hedgerow when a horse and buggy were cruising down the street, but now you've got a car that's doing 50 down the street, and maybe having that extra buffer is a nice thing and adds property value.
The thing is, it's not, and I agree, it, with safety, yes, but as Dan pointed out, they have a backyard, so they could do, fence that for their children and pets. And then it would leave the front landscape hedgerow the way it has been for, over 100 years.
I agree with Wendy on a lot of the points that she makes, simply because if we're talking about the historic district and how it is defined, that it seems that that's the nature of it, that it doesn't have the front yard fences, and so it just because of the need of the homeowner for this, does that mean that the whole character of that starts to change because we approve it, because we allow it? I mean, that's the reason we have the guidelines about where reviewing the front yard fences and all of that. I just I think having the hedge is an option, and as far as safety for the kids, if you really feel that it's that unsafe, then you just plant more all around for the front, and then the dogs just go to the back. I feel like it sets a precedent for transforming the front yards of these houses to the activities that would be more for the backyard. I mean, and we've reviewed in the past even things like, gardens and stuff. People are really starting to treat their front yard like their backyard. And I mean, in a neighborhood where it's been established to be a certain way, I feel strongly about it. At least following whatever the neighborhood guidelines are as far as the front yard. And in this case, with the letter written by the and I know we're not supposed to necessarily follow what they say, but their letter is indicative of what they cherish about their historic district and how they see it. So I don't know.
Are there other commissioners who would like to speak to this case?
I'll add in that I will say Wendy and Lily have a valid point. I am kind of leaning back again, crossing the fence per se on that side of it, because for my situation, we're public, so I'm not saying the road, but I'm on a main road. I'll be honest with you. I still wouldn't let my kid play in the front yard with cars going 50. A fence like that's not stopping a 50-mile-an-hour car. You would have some metal poles or something to prevent that. Once again, in my personal opinion, you'd still be playing out back. The dogs are larger dogs. This size fence isn't necessarily a deterrent, more so than bushes. And then you can always switch over to evergreen bushes that have a thicker front to them. So if we do possibly, deny this, maybe we can suggest in that of, hey, you have the option to switch over to a more dense landscape, with your poles, possibly even if they don't have a backyard fenced in or fully fenced in, maybe the possibility of saying, hey, come back to us with a plan that includes a better backyard fence, just to appease that, historical look to the neighborhood, because it is true, it would set a precedent.
Thank you, Daniel. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak, or it sounds like we've got some difference of opinion here? One option, maybe to have a technical committee take a closer look at the front or back, or we could. That would be one option, or we could have a motion to either approve or deny the fence.
For the sake of having a motion, I'm going to move that we accept the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Are there any seconds?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the staff recommendation to approve the fence. Is there any further discussion? If not, then we'll take a roll call vote. So yes would be to approve the staff recommendation to approve the fence. And what do we need? What's our number that we need to approve it?
Chris Parks had a
Left.
hop off. Yeah, so we have 11 commissioners, so we would need a majority of
We need 7 in the affirmative.
7 in the
to-
affirmative.
Or
Okay.
more for a
Yeah.
motion to pass.
Okay, thank you. So we're ready for our
Alright.
roll call vote.
Great, thank you. Can we have Lily, please?
No.
Dan, please.
No.
Wendy,
No.
Chris Weston,
Yes.
Ed, please.
No.
John,
Yes.
okay. Jamie,
No.
Scott,
Yes.
Ted,
No.
Tom,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
No.
Great, thank you.
So the motion does not pass. So again, I would entertain, so I guess from here, would we have the option for a technical committee versus just having them?
You could, someone could pose a motion to deny.
Okay,
the
yeah, so we
fence.
need, okay, so with that, we have the option of a motion to deny, or the other option might be a technical committee to go out and visit Lutherville and look at fences versus hedges. So would anyone like to entertain a motion?
I'm not clear that we need another motion.
We might not, since it didn't pass. That means the project did. So it's
We're just
denied, so
not
it's
approving
denied.
it, then we
No,
denied it.
approving it. They could reapply.
Okay.
And make changes, but I don't think we have to have another vote.
No, I mean, we said what we said.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John, as past chair for that guidance. Okay, and let's move along then to now we're on agenda item number 8, the Rodney House.
Yes, thank you. So
And-
Rodney, yes, the
Yeah.
Rodney House is owned by the McGrigg LLC property at 14943 York Road in Sparks, County Council District number 3. This is final landmark number 367, the Rodney House or Brookvale, and includes multiple buildings and setting. And the applicant has come before us to review various ex post facto exterior alterations to the properties at 14941 and 14943 York Road, including asphalt driveway and proposed exterior alterations to 14945 York Road. This is code enforcement correction number CB 24004. I'm sorry, 202. And we have broken up the presentation for each of the properties, and it'll make sense as we proceed. So the property is a circa 1830 two-story random rubble stone dwelling with a two-story frame L addition. The property was locally designated as Baltimore County Final Landmark number 367 through Council Bill number 86-10 in 2010. The designation includes 7 historic outbuildings, a blacksmith shop, office, tenant house, shed, spring house, stable, and an ice house. In March 2024, a correction notice/stop work order was issued after a constituent complaint regarding the expansion of the existing asphalt driveway without LPC review or a building permit. The applicant has submitted multiple work items to address not only the current code violation, but also additional work done without approval or permits, as well as future work. Staff work to organize the work items by building to avoid confusion. So the first concerns the driveway expansion, which is part of the correction notice. To resolve the code issues for the driveway expansion, the applicant is seeking an ex post facto review and approval of the present driveway conditions. Where completed, included new asphalt that was laid over existing paved areas. Some areas were expanded by paving over previously existing grass or flower beds to be flush with the buildings. Staff has concerns with the water runoff or drainage against the foundation, and it appears that asphalt has laid over a previously existing stamped concrete patio area by the side entrance on the rear yellow addition of 14943, as well as remove low stone walls. And the applicant has stated that they are also willing to return the driveway to its previous conditions. So for the primary structure, which is the stone and
Jessica.
yellow structure. Oh, I'm so sorry. We'll pause
Phoebe,
here.
would you
Yeah, just,
want to just go over this one first before going on? over
Yeah,
the
so
other ones?
as chair, I suggested to staff that we break up the discussion and vote on this for, each of the property work orders, just because it was too confusing to have it all in one thing and to keep track of one after the other. So I guess if we ready to have the applicant, is the applicant present to speak to this particular work order?
Yes, we do have the property owner, Mr. Gregorio, with us. And Mr. Gregorian, you are unmuted.
Hello.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Gregorio. At this point, we're just asking you to speak to the driveway parking expansion associated with this property.
Okay, so basically, what was said was, we added the asphalt on top of an pre-existing asphalt, and some parts of the grass my partner had removed to connect flush against the wall, against the 14943 wall. Yeah, that's basically it for that.
Do the commissioners have any, thank you. Do the commissioners have any questions for the applicant related to the driveway expansion?
Just to clear, if we can go back to the slide we just were looking at. So we are suggesting that he recreate those grass strips on all three of those buildings. Is that the idea?
So by the way, I'm so sorry. I do want to just chime in real quick. I prefer that we leave it as the way it is right now. If it needs to be that you guys do want that grass back, no problem. We'll try to work that out as well. But if possible, we can leave it as the picture below that shows how the asphalt is. That'd be wonderful, because it kind of like creates a bigger space. And then looking at like the previous images from Google, this driveway, this whole area had been expanded over the past 20-30 years. Like if I went back on like 2004 on Google Maps, and I saw that it had literally like a small driveway going from the road to the in between the houses, and then over the years it was asphalted and yeah. Honestly, we didn't really know about the historic requirements and things like that, or we would have never touched it. But yeah.
Thank you.
I have a question for you, Mr. Gregorian, is that it? Your name?
Gregorian, yes, Wendy. How are you? I remember you precisely.
Yes, we met on a very, you and your partner on a very rainy, ugly day when I was
You made
driving
it very
past.
sunny. When you pulled up, you made it very sunny and beautiful. So it was a very beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Uh-huh. But if you recall, you were asking me questions, and I told you that you first needed to talk to Baltimore zoning because you did not seem to know what you were allowed to do with the property as far as zoning. And then I said you must talk to the LPC staff, because I said I'm not sure how many of these buildings are landmarked, but I know some of them are, and you need to talk to the staff to find out what is landmarked, what you're allowed to do under those requirements. So, you know, you did know because if nothing else, I told you.
Oh yes, that is correct. I do remember that conversation. But I believe that you know, when you came by, that area was already like removed. But
No.
it really falls down to my partner because he was the one responsible for the construction of the property. I'm one of the investors that, you know, I put money up front, and he was supposed to do all the construction. So he's technically responsible on that side of the question, on that side of the scope. Um, and yeah, so
If I could ask a question.
Yes, Tom.
If the proposal had been merely to repave the existing asphalt surface and not expand it, would that have been approvable at a staff level, or would that still have had to come to the commission?
It still would have had to come to the commission. We don't have staff level approvals of that nature, unless it's like we only have staff level approvals for a tax credit application.
Okay, so this is, it's, if it were simply a repaving as maintenance, that would be, I think, fairly easy to accept that asphalt wears out over time, needs to be repaired. Expansion is what I'm having difficulty with.
Okay. Just in the interest of time, we have a lot to go through. I think I would, if there are no further.
I have one.
Okay.
The other thing is on that chart that showed where the green and the stuff that was expanded. If you look to the little building, we go back to that prior shot, the prior slide we were on. Keep going. There, if you look on the upper, that small building, there's a patch of impervious area between the building and the asphalt, which I think is appropriate. And there's a section in the back of some green and some paving on the right-hand picture. So that there is more expanded asphalt than is shown on the diagram. It shows just on the building on the left.
I apologize. Are you talking about where it says the antique sign, right by the White House?
Yes.
Actually, that's overgrown grass. So there was actually asphalt there already. If you
Okay.
take a look, if you
Look
look
on the other side, there's a patch in the front and the patch running along the side of the building.
Oh, yes. So the patch, we haven't touched that. Yes. So that the front.
You did touch it. It's paved over on the photograph below.
On the side of the house, yes, but on the front, those two small green areas, we haven't touched it. It's just we need to do landscaping for that, you know, to bring the green back.
You did do it on the left side of the building. Go back.
The left side, yes, correct. Yes, correct.
So yeah, that's my point.
Okay, so
That's my point. It doesn't show. I think it ought to if it's going to go back, I think everything should go back to the way it was.
And not have it go up against the buildings, you mean?
Yes.
To have a buffer.
That seems very strange to me that you have sort of encouraging cars to sweep right along the side of the building without a brush curb or a way to keep cars away from the building. I mean, in normal practice, you would do a brush curb along that would keep cars from hitting the building. And I mean, we all should keep in mind that, in looking at the rest of this, that this is a Baltimore County landmark, which is about the highest level of protection we can give a building. So it's, I think I think they should return it to what it was.
So are you making a motion, Ed, there to?
I will make a motion, yes.
To require that they, if you want to express that, is that to require that the driveway go back to what it was?
Previous condition.
In terms of paving, the new paving should only cover what was existing as paving prior to their paving.
I think I agree, Mr. Ed, with your conclusion about that there should be some type of greenery there. I'm just wondering, could we basically set it up in a way where like we don't have to dig it out, or can we do it artificially?
No.
No,
I'm so sorry. It's my first time being on a,
you mean like artificial grass as opposed
No,
to
no, no,
actual?
no. Like lay like basically like lay it right on top. You
It
know,
won't,
like
it
with
won't, it
sand.
won't, the only thing
It
that would
won't-
look green
it
would
won't
be
live.
artificial grass.
No. Let me intersect here and second the motion.
Thank you, John. That's what I was about to ask for a second.
So
Why don't we
So-
call the motion?
Yeah, I think that's what I was about to do, was to call the motion. So the motion is to require that the property owner return the pavement to its previous outline of, grass and pavement next to the buildings.
I would just like to add real quick, as I agree with what you guys are said, no problem, but that area where we circled earlier, that was overgrown grass over there. Okay, so could we leave it? I mean,
You can consult with staff if there are particular questions related, to that. It might be advisable to submit to staff a site plan. Ed or John, would you want to include that in your motion, or?
I think it's, I'll leave the motion as it is.
Okay.
If that's not grassed, if that is just, overgrown, fine, but I think someone maybe from staff ought to look at it and see if that's the case.
I'm not convinced that that's overgrown.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Maybe some of it, but
So I think staff ought to look at it, stuff that's green, that was, well, there's no way we can look at that. I think that's.
Now it's asphalt, so I don't know how you're gonna prove what's under there without.
You can't prove it, so never
Yeah.
mind. I think I'll leave my motion as is.
Okay, so let's have a roll call vote.
Could we please have Lily?
I'm not sure what I'm voting for.
So
or
to vote
against.
yes, to vote yes would be to require that the property owner return the asphalt paving to the areas where it was previously, so that the grass would be back where there was grass, and the pavement would be reduced.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Lily. Dan, please.
Yes.
Okay, Wendy,
Yes.
Chris Weston,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
John,
yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on, still on this property, but the next part of the work item on the proposal.
Great, thank you, Phoebe. Yep, got ahead of myself a little bit. Picking back up, this next item concerns the primary dwelling at 14943 York Road, and this is the stone and yellow structure. So the property again is the 1830 two-story random rubble stone dwelling with a two-story frame L addition, and was previously existing on the property at the rear of 14943 was a one-story 1980s garage. So work completed to the primary dwelling without LPC approval or the proper permits includes the following: hyphen addition and garage alterations, an 18 by 5.5 inch trapezoidal hyphen was constructed by September 2023 and connects the east elevation of the rear frame L addition of the 14943 to the detached garage at its rear. The hyphen is clad in vinyl siding with a timberline asphalt shingle gable roof, 1 6/6 window, 1 1/1 windows, although the drawings show 2 6/6 windows, and 1 3-panel entry door. Google imaging indicates that exterior alterations to the previously detached 1980s garage were made sometime after September 2023. The previous garage had a single roll-up style garage door on the south elevation with a series of 4-panel transom windows with 6 light grids. The west elevation contained a single entry and a double-paned window with 2 transoms situated above each panel. After September 2023, alterations to the garage included: south elevation entry was enclosed, 2 new entry openings were created, and 2 3-panel doors were installed. The previous band of fixed windows on the front were enclosed, and 4 window openings with 6/6 double hung windows were installed. The west elevation was enclosed by the construction of the hyphen addition. The applicant is now proposing to remove all recent alterations and expand the 2 existing entries with the installation of 2 new roll-up style garage doors in order to return the structure to a 2-vehicle garage. So it was a garage. It was changed into maybe a workspace, and now it's proposed to go back to a garage. So
I
for
apologize. I apologize, Jessica. I'm so sorry for cutting you off. I think this is like our first application that our architect submitted, which this is not the case right now. Well, we don't want to put the 2 garage doors there. We want to leave it as is. It's just we'd like to remove the vinyl siding and install the siding that's on the main building, the yellow cement siding.
Mr. Gregorian, I haven't finished my presentation.
Yeah.
We'll get
I
to that
apologize.
part.
Yeah, so Mr. Gordon, if you could just wait until you're
Yeah,
called upon, so that you're not out of order.
Well, you
Yeah,
muted.
and I'm sorry, I'll just unmute you, but I'm getting to that part of the presentation. All right, moving forward. So for siding and windows, the previously replaced cementous siding was removed on the side north elevation of 14943 and was replaced with vinyl. And the applicant proposes to remove the vinyl siding and replace with James Hardy 8 by 144-inch prime cedar mill fiber cement lap siding. And the images from 2022 indicate that the second level of the rear elevation previously contained 3 boarded window openings. Current images from the applicant show that 1 previous window opening was enclosed and the other 2 were expanded to fit 2 pairs of double pane windows. However, no information on the previous or replaced window dimensions were included. The applicants proposed to keep the existing vinyl window replacements, and the application also states that the existing door location, size, or proposed replacement dimensions. Oh, I'm so sorry. Application states that the existing rear doors will be replaced with several 2-panel wood doors with 9 light grids. And again, no information on the existing door location, size, or proposed replacements dimensions were provided. So if you have any questions for Mr. Gregorian, I can unmute him at this time. Just one moment.
Were all the windows replaced? Are they still the original windows, the wooden windows?
So the stone structure has its original windows. The windows that are in the rear addition, the yellow portion, those all appear to be were vinyl previous replacements.
They had wood. They have wood openings. They on the previous conditions.
On this side, it has their panels. Yeah.
What to say? So the stone building, wood windows, they're still wood windows. The siding component that was vinyl, looks like the bottom ones have not been replaced, but the top ones that are new locations and new sizes, and those I have a problem with. But okay.
I have a question. It seems like the connecting piece that's connecting the house to the garage was built without a permit.
Yeah.
And is maybe that's the bigger issue here, is that the scale of this building has been dramatically changed to something that looks like a motel almost.
Yeah. It does look like a motel in its current configuration. Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I saw cars and ATVs parked in front of it. I thought that's a motel. And also you have 3 doors.
I think it's stated somewhere in the application that it's meant to be a bed and breakfast.
It is like a motel. Okay.
Or something.
Okay. So just to clarify, the original 1980s garage was a non-contributing structure to on the property, whereas the main um,
Yeah, so
dwelling was is a landmarked
right, so there's a
property.
setting on with the landmark designation. So you know, it's the same type of thing as if we were in any other county historic district, where, you know, any accessory construction would be reviewed by the commission. So any changes to this garage would have needed to come in, even though it is considered a non-contributing resource within the landmark designation.
Yeah,
I think
but so technically,
agree
if
with
they
Chris, this
connect it to
changes the whole
connect it to the
thing.
main house.
Excuse me. Let's let John speak first, and then Ed.
So, just point of clarification, if they attach it to the historic part, then it becomes ipso facto part of the historic building, right? So no longer is it a non-contributing part. It is part of the historic building, right?
I have a problem with the detached garage becoming attached.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, but one does not give, I mean, I understand what you're trying to say,
Yeah, it
John,
conveys its status, changes its status.
Well, but it also, I mean, it has a conflict with, if we're considering the historic setting, primary structure, accessory structure, different historic periods contributing and non, now it's a mixture of it all.
Yeah, I'm going to borrow a page from Ed's book. I move that we decline this application pending further and complete drawings and understanding what they're trying to do with this building. There's stuff going on in the back. There's stuff going on connecting a building. There's stuff going on in an old garage, and it doesn't come together for me at all and make any sense. So I move that we decline it.
I was going to say all this happened without permits, so you know, they did what they wanted to do, but
certainly
there was no permitting.
Yeah, certainly an additional issue.
So I just have the owner did say that what is being shown here is not what he wants to do.
Sorry, Phoebe, let me unmute the
Thank you. Yeah,
applicant.
and then we can
It's not, he should come back to us with drawings of what he does want.
All right, Mr. Gregorian, you are unmuted if you'd like to add anything.
Yes. So my partner went ahead and connected the main house to the existing garage, removed the garage door, which honestly really had no like historic attribute, the garage itself, but connected the main house to the garage, and we're using it as a storage room. The garage images that you guys saw that Jessica had pulled up on the blueprint, that's not what we submitted. That was the first submittal that we did, but that's not, we just want to keep it the way it is, like I said, and we'd like to install the proper siding to match the main house, you know, the yellow siding. Yeah, that's what it is for this front garage portion. I understand we didn't, you know, get approvals and things like that for this, but it's just we see the use of it like this a little bit better. From the inside, it's not connected to the house. The only access you have is from the front entrance, and it's mostly going to be used as basically like a shop, a storage room. Also, I'd like to add in terms of the backyard area where, you know, you were talking about the windows. Yeah, this area where it was boarded up. We actually bought the place like that. The previous owner wanted to do a wedding hall, and so he blocked all those windows off. And so we installed these windows and yeah. That's all it is. We just installed the new windows, the vinyl windows, and then we put the vinyl siding. We didn't know about the situation. I'm sorry, I'm just a little stressed out from this.
That's fine. What if we do? So we have a motion to deny the application for these parts. If if we get a second and we vote to deny, then you would have an opportunity to resubmit with clarified with more details about what you do want regarding the garage, the hyphen, the doors and windows, and the siding.
So we've actually sent the blueprint, the latest blueprints to Jessica.
Yeah, that wasn't included in our packet, and so that's not what's before us. What's before us is the proposal to take the garage, to put the garage doors in. So we have a motion, and I would entertain a second.
So this is the right image right here, the of what we would want it to be.
I'm sorry, but that wasn't what was in the proposal. So if we deny, you would have an opportunity to come back to us.
But I think we will, I don't see us approving it if it's attached to the house.
Well, I just want to say that our guidelines do have a lot of recommendations on additions and hyphens, the scale, setting it back, not imitating the main building. So there's a lot of guidelines that could, when it comes back, following those guidelines would be very
Right.
helpful in coming back with something that can be reviewed and approved. Right?
You know, we spent $45,000 on architects and attorneys, and to be honest, it's been 9 months, and we haven't really gotten anything concrete from anybody. They just ate all of our money, and they don't even want to support us now. Like, we really don't know what to do with this.
I would recommend you consult with the LPC staff, following the meeting. So we have a motion. Let's see, I forget who the motion was from in the first place. Was that John? And Ed seconded? Am I correct on that? John to deny the proposal, and Ed seconded. So if there's no further discussion, I think we're ready for a roll call vote on this.
Sorry, and just to confirm, is this to deny the hyphen construction?
This was for the entire work order for
the entire application.
For the garage hyphen, all of the work on the garage and the vinyl siding on the house and the windows in the back.
Okay, so this does
whole
not
section.
include...
Yeah, this does not
all
include the other
work
two
on
properties that we haven't presented yet.
4943.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. All right, could we have Lily, please?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Chris Weston,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
okay, I think John's having some issues.
yes.
John said yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, John.
Sorry, I said it in my
could we-
quiet little voice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, John. Could we have Jamie, please?
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
All right, moving forward to 14941 York Road, the blacksmith shop. Just give me one moment. All right, so the property is a 2-story frame structure constructed in 1880. The structure is clad in German wood siding with a 2-story 1910 rear addition and single-story side addition. Both 1910 additions are clad in board and batten siding. Google imaging from 2018 through 2023 indicates that major exterior alterations were made to the primary structure without LPC review and property permits. The work included the following: covering the German wood siding on the primary structure and board and batten siding on the rear and side additions with vinyl siding, replacement of previously existing windows with vinyl. There was a set of 6/6 wood sashes and 4-pane wood picture windows on the front elevation, and 6/6 wood sashes and 4/4 wood sashes on the north side elevation. Alterations to the window and door openings on the front elevation, which is the west side, include the following: one second floor window opening made smaller, and this is shown on the upper left side. Altering window style on the first floor from a 4-pane picture window to a larger 6/6 style, a door replacement. And on the side or north elevation, we have the enclosure of window openings on the second story, the creation of new window openings on the second story, alternating window sizes on the second story, and adding a door opening that previously existed and was enclosed under prior ownership. And this was added with a fiberglass door, and the applicant submitted a interior photo showing the door enclosure. We have altering window styles on the first floor from a pair of 4/4 to a single 6/6 window, as well as a door replacement and the enclosure of a transom, adding split mini duct system. Then to the south side, 1910 edition, it previously consisted of a vertical plank siding and a carriage style door, which was covered with vinyl, and added a single entry door and window. So in order to avoid additional code violations, the applicant has proposed the following work to correct the issues. Siding, remove all vinyl siding and repair original German wood siding, replace in kind with 7¼ by 9/16 and 7-foot prime wood nickel gap shiplap siding as needed. The application does not provide information on any repairs or replacements to the board and batten siding on the rear and side additions, and staff asks the commission to please clarify this with the applicant. For the windows, the applicant proposes to remove the vinyl window replacements on all elevations and to replace with pairs of double and single panel wood windows. Again, no information on the previous or replaced window dimensions were provided. The work will also include adjusting the second level window opening of the facade to its original size. Again, no information on the previous or proposed dimensions were provided. Staff would like to note that while wood is an appropriate material, the proposed replacement styles need to match the styles of the windows that previously existed. Finally, for doors, the applicant proposes to remove the 3 fiberglass door replacements and install 3 panel and glazed wood doors with 9 light grids to closely match the previous door style. Again, no information on the existing or proposed door dimensions were provided, and interior images provided by the applicant show a previously enclosed entry on the north elevation that was reopened. Staff does not have any issues with the reopening of the previous entry, but asks the commission to clarify the dimensions with the applicant. And staff also notes that the previous transom window should also be returned. Okay.
Okay, so now if we could unmute the applicant if they wanted to add any additional comments.
All right, Mr. Gregorian, you're unmuted.
Yes, so after 8 months of going back and forth with my partner, I recently only found out that he never touched the wood siding itself. So I decided, I was there for a whole week and a half. I removed all of the vinyl panels, which shows the actual wood siding. The windows that we had originally closed off, we can now see it's boarded up. In terms of the windows and the doors, we now understand that vinyl is no good here. But moving forward, like we tried to get quotes and assistance from different companies to help us identify like what type of window we would put in. Literally speaking to about 15 different suppliers, they all canceled working with us because they don't know which material you guys would be approving. That's why I wanted to leave that up to you guys. Maybe you guys can help us identify which windows and doors are appropriate for this building. But everything that was there before is, in terms of the siding, is still there. And we'd like to, uphold our commitment to fix this up. But like I said, nobody has an idea. No contractor knows what type of windows these are, and to even offer us. The second they hear historic commission, they deny us right away. But I wish I could have sent you guys the pictures now. It looks very beautiful. We painted everything. Everything's good. All the openings for the windows and doors, original openings, even though some doors and windows might have made smaller, none of the wood siding was touched in terms of by the door trims and the window trims. So ultimately, when we're ready to proceed on replacing the doors and the windows, we're going to replace them in the actual size that there was. Um,
Excuse me, Mr. Gregorian, are you saying that the vinyl has since been entirely removed and that the original wood has been repainted?
yes, yes. Even though it kind of looks on this image to the right, it kind of looks like it looks messed up, but that's because that's the way we bought it. That's the way we found
Sir,
it.
sir, in our phone conversation, when your application was submitted, I did ask that you not continue to pull the vinyl siding off of the original wood and to wait until you received review and approval to continue with any work.
Yeah, but when we spoke, we were literally like all done with the removal of the siding. I apologize if we moved forward on doing that. We just wanted to commit on giving you guys, the things that was there. And
So,
Yeah, in general, it's best to wait until we actually review the application and make a decision before you proceed with any work.
so it would appear that this application no longer reflects again the ex post facto work that was conducted. And I'm assuming that consideration to repair of the wood was not taken.
I would like to tell the applicant that if you just Google historic wood windows or historic wood replacement windows, you'll find at least 10 companies that could make these for you.
and we did. That's one of the search results that I was doing, most of them actually. And I had meetings for the past 2-3 weeks, and people are just left and right denying.
I would also like to add that we did provide a list of approved materials, which included manufacturers for wood windows and as well as the running list of contractors that we have. So, Mr. Gregorian, this information has been supplied to you many times in abundance. So
I have a question.
Can I ask? Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
On if I'm looking at these two photographs, on the right, it shows a condensing unit with, it looks like big pipes or enclosures going on the exterior of the building. Is that true? Is that what's there now?
I'm sorry, where are we talking about for the
On
HVAC?
the right side, north, 2025, there's a condensing unit sitting on the new asphalt that's in what was a grassed area. And going up, yeah, those are those the condensation, the
Yes.
condensate lines,
Condensation
the
pipes, yeah.
refrigerant lines going up?
Yes.
Those
Correct.
should not be on the outside of the building. Absolutely not. Those need to be incorporated inside in walls or whatever, but that cannot stay.
Understood.
That's one of my comments. I mean, I just think everything should go back to the way it was with size, shape, type of windows, type of siding. I think we've got to reject this. I think we need
I make that motion. I move we reject it and ask them to reapply. Jessica has already mentioned that the application in front of us essentially is invalid. So they need to come back with a full plan, with full drawings.
I have a question. Sorry, I have a question before rejecting it. Can there be a determination what the windows, what was original and then what was replaced as far as the windows. I'm confused as to the material, whether they were original wood windows and whether the replacement now currently is just the sashes or the full. It looks like it's just the sashes. Is that correct?
When you say sashes, what do you mean exactly? I'm
Well,
sorry.
is the wood frame still there?
Yes,
The blue
most of the
that
windows. Yes, yes. Most of the window trim sashes are still there, but they have all deteriorated.
okay.
It's in very bad condition.
So a good application would be to indicate side by side existing and proposed. Because it is very confusing and all the elevations.
I think
Not
you,
With sizes.
yeah. And materials. I mean the material, the size, and all elevations.
I just wanted to mention, I visited one of the manufacturers that you guys recommended, that the staff recommended, and again, I went into Anderson Company, and
Yeah,
the guy didn't even want to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I think that is kind of outside of the scope of what we're reviewing right now. You know, the minutia of what particular vendors you use is something that you can present once you have something in a revised application. So we have a motion to reject this application. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Is there further discussion? If not, I think we can go for a roll call vote.
I did have one quick thing. I know
Thank you,
I know I'm
Daniel.
looking at time, sorry. But and nothing to change or amend or anything like that. I think for the applicant that is here, it needs to be emphasized exactly what Jessica said. You can't continue doing stuff to this property after you've been told not to. Everything you do takes away, say, the possible preservation and the most gentlest means of the paint and everything that we're reviewing. So just as a strong emphasis, if you have questions, ask the staff and stop doing what you're doing because you're making it worse, possibly.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, and sorry, before our roll call, could we please confirm who was our second?
Me, Ed Horde.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Ed. And yes. Alrighty, could we have Lily, please?
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Chris Weston,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
John,
Yes. Yes.
great. Thank you, John, in a very strong voice.
Clear
Jamie,
voice,
please.
Yes.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
Ted, please.
Yes.
Tom
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great. And so moving into our final item for the tenant house, just for the sake of time and clarity, yeah, Mr. Gregorian, Caitlin and I will work closely with you to address, material concerns and things like that. So we'll be in touch and we'll go over everything again.
Thank you so
All right.
much. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Of course. All right. So, Mr. Gregorian, I'm just going to mute you quickly. And all right. So, finally, this is future work that is being proposed. At this time, no alterations have been made to this property. So, the tenant house is a vernacular 3-story wood frame structure constructed between 1830 and 1850. The dwelling is clad in German wood siding and is situated on a raised random rubble stone foundation with a standing seam side gable roof. The application only includes images of the facade and south elevations, and to date, again, no changes appear to have been made. A low, dry-laid fieldstone retaining wall runs approximately 70 feet north-south along York Road. Images provided by the applicant indicate that the facade has two entries with a standing seam shed roof position above and includes a total of 4 6/6 double hung wood windows and 3 6-light wood casement windows. The south elevation contains 2 4-light wood casement windows, and the remains of a single-story random rubble stone addition or wall are present on the south elevation. A porch of an unknown date, possibly 1940s, was constructed above the stone wall on the second level. The porch is supported by 2 wood columns and has a standing seam gable roof. The work proposed for the tenant house includes the following: masonry repointing. The application cites major damage to the stone masonry of the dwelling, porch, and retaining wall, and has proposed to wash and repoint the features as necessary. No information was provided on the repair techniques or mortar composition. For the standing seam roof repair, the applicant cites a missing sheet on the side gable roof of the primary structure and has proposed an in-kind repair. No information was provided on the proposed material or the condition of the standing seam shed and gable roofs. Staff asks that the commission clarify the material with the applicant and whether the other 2 roofs will be repaired or replaced as well. For the porch reconstruction, the applicant proposes to dismantle, repair, and construct the existing porch and steps on the south elevation. No additional information about the condition was included, although the drawings mention that the porch will be repaired instead of replaced. So the window and door repairs, the application mentioned repairs and possible replacements to the existing windows and doors as needed. No conditions assessment of the windows or doors was submitted, and no information on the proposed repairs was provided. Additionally, the application notes that the new exterior light fixtures were installed where no lights previously existed. The fixtures installed are simple modern LED lights, and staff has no issues with adding the lights of the style of the fixture. So,
Thank you. In the interest of time, it sounds like there's a lot of additional missing information. So, Mr. Gregorian, if you could be brief in your comments.
sure, and I will unmute. Alrighty, Mr. Gregorian, you're unmuted.
Yes, so this was one of the only properties that I committed to myself instead of my partner to fix it up. As Jessica mentioned, you know, the stone, it's in a bad condition. It has been painted over many times and it's chipping off right now. I'd like to, you know, somehow, you know, hire a company to repoint it, remove the paint and bring it back to its original just stone look, because I think it's gonna look a lot stronger and a lot better. Um, the porch to the right, where it says existing south elevation, you could kind of see that the porch is a little slanted. Uh, and I want to make some repairs to level that out and also add a railing to the right side, which is missing now. As you can see in the image there. Um, that's about it for this porch. Then we have the roof. One of the shingles, it's a metal piece that has fallen off before we purchased it. We found that metal piece behind the house. We kind of corrected it. You know, it's laying there now. I'd like to get a lift to go up there and reinstall it properly. It doesn't show any signs of rain damage or anything inside, but I'd like to just add that piece back on. The other thing is, I'd like to repaint the whole white, you know, wall on the outside above, you know, the first floor all the way to the roof. No other changes here. We're not going to replace windows. We're not looking to replace any doors. It's all looking good, but yeah, and then for the landscaping, before right now it's a lot of overgrown weed on top of the landscaping, and so I the other day I power washed it and I found a walkway, so I and the walkway has, you know, it's gone in ground. I'd like to just basically just fix it up. We don't know what use we're gonna have for this building because it doesn't have a septic or water. It only has electric. And because of the historic aspect of this house, um, and we're being told a lot of things about, you know, the history of this and who lived here, but we're not sure. But ultimately, what I want to do in this place is maybe do like a showcase of a historic property, you know, something of that nature. We haven't touched this part yet, and I wanted to get your recommendation before I do. And understanding everything else we talked about, I know we're gonna have to, you know, resubmit our application. Besides the repairs and everything, I wanted to find out like what's one of the uses that we can have like in here? Can we have a business here? Like what can we do here?
So I believe this is zone BL, which is business local. So that's the like small
I think you
commercial.
should get a look at the zoning and
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
work with zoning department.
Right.
LPC does not have purview over the use, so
Right.
you can, you know, as long as it's within the parameters of its current zoning, LPC doesn't have any say in what it's used for.
I like to make a motion on this. As a prelude to the motion, I hear what you're saying about the things you want to do, but we need to see detailed plans. We need to see that fully described on an application. We need to have all the details before we can approve it to go forward. So I move we deny the application.
I'm
Adding
looking
on
at
to what John says, I think it's extremely important that we know what kind of mortar will be used to repoint the foundation.
Yeah,
I agree with Chris.
Yeah,
I think there's a
I
lot, there
agree
are many
along.
aspects of this property we need to make sure are treated properly, especially as it appears to be fundamentally intact.
As everybody else is stating, I mean, the terms you use just for the person, you know, I know you didn't bring your partner. I would suggest bringing your partner on the next application review for the things that you might not know that they did. But you know, original look, in-kind replacement, that's the sort of stuff that follows those guidelines. Saying to make it look pretty or look beautiful or, you know, along those guidelines, that's subjective. We're here to make it stay historical. So just keep that in mind, and historically beautiful rather than just a generalization.
I would suggest to the group that we allow the one roof panel, if it is the original roof panel, to be put back on just out of concern for damage to the building.
To stabilize maybe a temporary roof patch, or, you know, is that what you're suggesting, Chris?
Well, if
Either
it's the
with
real roof panel and it's
either
laying
with
on
the
the
existing
ground,
roof
yeah, let's put
panel
it back.
or a temporary.
Yeah, do something. Just don't let it soak up water.
Right.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm looking at the drawings. It's A011, and it shows elevations and notes and what he's doing to the building. It's in our packet. So I don't know why we don't have enough information to approve this. I think it looks, you know, looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like he's got it pretty well all called out. This one, unlike all the others, is pretty clear on what he's doing.
And I'd like to just mention real quick, if I may. Is it okay?
Sure.
By the way, when you guys mentioned about the roof shingle, I had a smile on my face because at least something's getting approved. But
Well, we haven't voted yet.
that's true also. I'd like to mention, Ed, that everything, like the way you found this drawing, most of the things that I mentioned before for the other properties as well, and this is just a side note. I know you guys, you know, declined it, and it's okay. We submitted a lot of those things. And yeah, and honestly, it's okay. Some of those things that got declined because we needed to have this sit down so that way I can understand exactly what the process is. Like I said, we had a go around runaround by the architects and everybody else who was trying to help us out, and nobody was giving us clear answers. So now I see a clear path, and most of the things, like I said, is there. I'm gonna resubmit the application the proper way. I'm gonna go out and find those, windows and the doors, and come back to you guys with a concrete plan. In terms of the landscaping as well, we'll draw it up. We'll make good use of it, and hopefully we'll be in a good, clear way.
To Ed's point, when I was speaking to Ed was in the applicant's initial preliminary remarks when we were discussing this building. There was a lot of, I think, I'm not sure, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. So I assume that these drawings were not a fully thought through idea.
We don't have detail on, on what kind of mortar and other information, but this one is relatively, because he's leaving everything and he hasn't messed it up. I think this one,
You're closer.
yeah, I think this one but I think maybe it makes sense to come back with everything and explain, have everything in this level of detail and compare it to existing. I mean,
Okay, so we have a motion to deny the application and encourage the applicant to come back with more detail on this one, and more definitive detail on this one about what he wants to do. Or do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Dan.
And just to clarify, does the motion include the repair to the roof with the missing panel?
Yes,
John?
I accept that amendment.
Dan, that's part of your second?
Yep. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Great, thank you. Can we have Lily, please?
Yes.
Okay, and Dan,
Yes.
Wendy,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Ed,
yes.
sorry, Ed, I can't hear
Yes.
you. Great, thank you. John, please.
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ted,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Phoebe, please.
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right, and Mr. Gregorian, Caitlin and I will be in touch tomorrow with some more details on tonight's discussions and approvals and denials.
Okay, sounds good. Could I ask just one question, possibly, if I back to the landscaping that we were discussing in the beginning. The White House, right, 14941. I understand that area with the landscaping and no problem, but to the left side, how far of a stretch like do we need to bring back? Because like previous condition, it was altered throughout the years, So I'd like to kind of draw up a nice landscaping for that area and for you guys to view as well. So is that something that's possible, or do I have to like propose to replace completely as it was on the left side, not the right side, where it looks like a triangle shape area?
I think you ought to work with staff on the specifics. I don't think we can do that in this meeting.
Yeah, we'll be in touch, Mr. Gregorian.
Okay. Thank you.
So much. Appreciate it.
Okay, so staff, moving on to our next part of the agenda. I believe that is the historic review applications for tax credit, for historic property tax credit that were approved by staff. If you could inform us of that.
We just had two properties come in with approval by the Maryland Historical Trust. The first of which is the Miller property at 100 Fairfield Drive in Catonsville. This is a contributing resource within the Central Catonsville and Summit Park National Register Historic District. And the applicants received Part 2 approval for the installation of a new AC system and heat pump, as well as rehabilitation efforts to the sunroom. and this is in County Council District number 1. And then we had the Hoser Lock property at 722 Howard Road in Pikesville. This was a contributing resource within the Sudbury Park County Historic District, and they received Part 2 conditional approval for a water heater replacement, chimney repairs, front porch slate roof repairs, and replacements to the main house gutter system, as well as exterior painting and a radiator valve replacement. And this was in County Council District number 2.
Thank you. Is there any other business? Just note that the next meeting is April 10th, 2025.
Phoebe,
Yes?
Phoebe.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I missed your hand.
Yeah, I'd just like to share something real fast. As some of you may or may not know, the planning board hears testimony on the capital budget every year. This year, when we were having a presentation from the Baltimore County School System, they were talking about the rehabilitation of Towson High School and how that's coming along. Believe I couldn't find my notes, but it's like over a $200 million renovation. I asked one of the school system people how much it was costing to comply with the historic preservation of the front facade. He didn't know for sure, but his guesstimate was about $10 million. To put that in perspective, the entire capital budget for the county library system is less than $2 million. So I just want people to sort of, I know I've heard before people are not supposed to take cost into consideration, but costs are real. And these things have, particularly when it's not like the county gets any tax credits or anything for maintaining these things. So I just wanted to share that information with the board.
Thank you, Scott. So that was $10 million out of a $200 million
that was his
project.
estimate.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his estimate.
So
I mean, he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't something he broke out, but yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for informing us of that. We did review the Towson High renovation addition for this. It came before the LPC, and we approved it and complimented its design and adherence to the guidelines. But that is a good reminder as cases come before us to list things on the county landmarks list. So any other commissioners have any other comments, questions, or anything else they would add to the discussion? If not, thank you all for taking the time to attend, and I would entertain a motion to end the meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank
Phoebe.
you. Yes.
you all.
There's a long and complex case.